Hello. Forgot to unmute my mic. How's everybody doing? Yeah, we are a little bit early, but that's okay. Just chill out a little bit before we officially start. I know I don't know if it's just this keyboard, but I'm also just terrible at typing. My fingers just like hit the keys around it, and I'm just like, makes typing so annoying. I'm doing pretty good. Wait, is there a mod here? Oh, hey, Scarlet. Yeah, we have a new mod, or at least it's new to me. I don't think Scarlet, have you ever modded before? Oh, like for us, have you modded before? But Scarlet is going to be subbing for Kevin today. So we got a new mod. Somewhat new. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I just had McDonald's, and I tried the Big Arch. I don't know if you guys have the Big Arch wherever you guys are, but I gave it a try, and I don't know if I'm just getting older. I cannot eat that much anymore. It's way too much burger. So, and it was also not that great. I don't know. I feel like they went a little bit too hard on the mustard. Put so much mustard in the burger. Ordered a steak egg? Wait, you can order a steak at McDonald's? Is that a thing? They gave me a sausage egg. You know what? I've found that I feel like for McDonald's in the States, I just went to Buffalo like not too long ago, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we're in the middle of like town Buffalo, but that McDonald's was something else. I've never been in a McDonald's like that before. People were waiting in line for like 30 minutes to an hour for their food. And I was like, is that normal for McDonald's to take that long just to serve food? Because I was a bit surprised by that. That's a normal Popeye. That's crazy. 1 hour. We're all from Toronto, and then one of our friends was like, "Yo, if they were serving like this in Toronto, this would be unacceptable. People would be like infuriated and mad if you were taking 1 hour to serve." But I don't know. We were kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but it's kind of like right after you cross Niagara Falls to go into Buffalo. There, it's like that area. I don't know what the reputation is like in that area, but it was interesting. It was a neat little new McDonald's experience. Yeah, it was interesting. From what I know, it's a normal. Literally drawing in Krita right now. Hey, not bad, not bad. I'm so we're gonna get started on the background soon. It is a little early, so I'm just giving it a few minutes before it's the official 3 o'clock time. But I'm just drawing this soldier that I found on Pinterest, and I'm like gonna try to draw the helmet. It's a very interesting shape, so I'm trying to get the structure of it. But it's kind of cool. There's a cool look to it. Guy's also got like an insane cheek jawline over here, which is crazy. Yeah, McDonald's, I feel like the longest we ever wait for, like in my area, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, can you like go over there by the window? It'll just be a few minutes." And I'm like, "Oh, gotta wait." And the wait will just be maybe like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And then in Buffalo, it's like, "Oh yeah, it'll be an hour." I was like, what? That's crazy. Chicago, no, Buffalo. Uh, Buffalo is what, part of New York? Yeah, New York, Buffalo. So it was a new experience, experiencing American McDonald's. It was brand new. I don't know. I'm pretty sure most McDonald's aren't that bad, but this one that we were at was pretty bad. Yeah. And they didn't have a lot of stuff either. Like my friend wanted a Kit Kat McFlurry, and they're like, "Kit Kat, we ain't got no Kit Kat." Like literally, that's how the manager inside was like. He was like, "Tell the guy we don't have Kit Kat." I was like, "What?" Okay. So they were definitely way understaffed. Didn't have a lot of people helping out and everything. So, which is, I guess, understandable. Probably like extremely stressed and everything. That's America for you. I do think it's because there's, yeah, the population amount and the fact that we're kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but a little bit in the middle of nowhere. So, we were all a little bit understanding, like me and my group of friends that were there. Hello, Quinn. Okay, well, it's 3:01, so I think we'll get started soon. But that's enough ranting about McDonald's for a bit. But yeah, the big arch, unless you're hungry, I don't think it's worth it. It was in Canada, it was about like $18 after tax for the combo, and it's just a lot of burger and a lot of mustard, dude. Whoever was making this burger just put all the mustard onto the burger. It was it was a little disgusting, but I don't mind mustard, so I guess it was fine. But if you hate mustard, the Big Arch's sauce is just mustard. I feel like it's just mustard. It's not Big Mac sauce or anything. Yeah. Sponsored by no, today not sponsored by XP Pen, but I am using an XP Pen tablet. So I got a new tablet. I originally, like beforehand, whenever you guys ask like, "Oh, what do you got? What are you using to draw?" I usually reply and go like, "Oh yeah, it's I'm using my Cintiq." But this time I got a new XP Pen tablet, and it's so far it's not too bad. It's pretty good. Yeah, new tablet. Yeah, I like all the shortcut buttons on the side. I've been using that to its full advantage, so it's been nice. Yeah, and it's also slightly bigger, so a little bit more screen real estate, so that's always nice. But yeah, with that being said, I guess we'll get started and we'll start the official stream now. So, hello everybody, welcome to our stream. If you don't know who we are Wing Canvas. We are a YouTube channel where we make art tutorials, videos on tips, tricks, and drawing advice to better help our fellow art nerds in this art community of ours. Our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so be sure to tune in live for free lessons every Saturday, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, so that's why you guys are all here, hopefully. And yes, we are going to be doing backgrounds, so today's stream is going to be focusing more on like backgrounds, how to paint it, how to set it up, and finding references and inspiration and all that good stuff. So yeah, and then if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links in our social media below, in the description below, and check out our website for class offerings where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we're a school of illustration. I also want to personally thank our Patreon members and YouTube members who support us in making free art education content. Members get access to a ton of perks, like the exclusive chats with our creators, weekly live critiques on Discord, class recordings, digital artworking files from our streams, and discounts on live programs that have a limited amount of spots. So you want to check those out as soon as possible. And luckily for you guys, our term has just started. So our fall term just started yesterday. And if you guys are curious about the classes and are curious as to like what we offer, this is our homepage. This is our website. You can scroll through to have a general idea as to what we teach, the different art levels that there are. And if you are curious about the individual classes themselves, you can also click the join a class link, and it'll give you an overview of the different classes that there are, so you can scroll through and see which one best aligns with your skill level, your interest, maybe even medium of choice. And you can also scroll through the different types. So we have our regular classes like cartooning and anime taught by Iggy, but we also have mentorships, and art intensives just happened, so the only upcoming one is going to be our portfolio. But we also offer private mentorships. So if you want a more one-on-one experience, we also offer that as well. So if you are interested in our class, definitely check out our website. There's way more information and detail in terms of time and levels and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out. So yeah, that's kind of it for the intro. And now we can get back to the main event. Obviously, before we get into the main event, you guys know how it is. We do our monthly art challenge, and for this month, it is creature. I think is, let me see what it's called specifically, because it's more, let's see, fantasy creature. Okay, so this month's theme is fantasy creature, and if you guys don't know, every month on Discord we have a monthly art challenge where the community can upload any drawing that they want, as long as it's within the theme of the challenge. And this month's was fantasy creature. And every time we stream, we like to highlight our community members' art pieces that they submit. And being a member on the Discord is completely free. Anyone can upload images as long as it's appropriate and it's appropriate and it's art related. So that's what we're about to do now. Before we do our main background stream, we're gonna do a little shout out to the community, because it's always awesome to see what the community is working on and the different art styles and content that you guys make. So the first one, let's see if I got the name. I did get the name. Great. We're gonna start with Tomato. We just started this challenge, so there's only, I just saw we had about 83 submissions, so there's so many to go through. So I try to skim a little bit at the top as well. But this one's by Tomato, or Tomata, or I just realized it's just Tomta. So interesting name. I saw the tomato and just assumed that it was called Tomato, but clearly not. But I love the color. I love how intensely red this image is, and then just kind of the graphic nature of your creature. Like the mech arms is sick. The way the dinosaur looks is awesome. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Digimon, but yeah, I really like it. I like kind of like the graphic sticker-like quality to it. So very cool. Good job, Tomta. And then the next one is by Office Man. This one also looks really cool. Very good approach to lighting and anatomy. I'm like so curious as to like what reference you studied for getting the dinosaur musculature down, or at least it looks like a dinosaur. I don't know. It could be maybe a bull or a bison or something, but this looks awesome. You even got like the veins in the neck. Jeez. But the lighting looks really, really good, and I like the color palette overall. Really ties it all together. So, Office Man, nice, bold dinosaur creature. Not too sure, but it looks cool. And then the next one is by Lichen Arts. I think you're here, Lichen Arts. I think I saw your name in the beginning. Don't know if you're still here, but great drawing. The photo is a little bit out of focus, but I think I still have a good idea as to what this looks like. So yeah, great job. I like the pose. I love the dynamic movement of the legs and arms and the overall coloring of the piece. So yeah, good job. And then this one's by Tyler Durden. This one's a little bit harder to see because the line work's very thin, but very interesting creature design. I think you did a really good job with the legs, especially the back legs. Look really, really good. And I like the kind of the look of the creature. It's a little bit, slightly reminds me of like Princess Mononoke, like that slightly unsettling vibe to it. But no, it's really cool. And then lastly, one by Quinn. I don't know if we've shown this before, but Quinn's been working on this creature, I guess. Let's see, what does she say? Opal Dragon. But yeah, I know she's been working on this for a while, and I know you posted it, but yeah, I think it turned out really great. I mean, I think this is it looks about the same as the last time I critiqued this, but either way, it still looks really good. So good job, Quinn. And good job for everybody submitting. Thanks so much for you guys for being a part of the Discord channel and submitting your work and just being involved with the community. It's always awesome to see all of your pieces and seeing the different art styles, different approaches to the challenge. So yeah, and good job to everybody submitting. And if you're not sure, we do have, let's see, 2 more weeks, I think, of where you can submit your drawings for this challenge. So there's still plenty of time if you want to have a chance to be showcased on our live stream. It is randomly selected, and as long as you're part of the Discord and you submit your drawing in the Discord, you might have a chance of being highlighted on our YouTube channel. So you got some time and still got some time to submit stuff. So yeah, and thank you again for everybody submitting. Okay, so time for the main event. Now, I realized we never really clarified what it is that we're going to be doing when it comes to a background animation. And so for me, what I actually wanted to do is go over actually how to do animation curves on Krita. So if you've ever tried animating before on Krita and you're like, oh, I just want to animate a ball moving across the screen constantly. Now, with traditional animation kind of rules, I guess, or guideline, you would hand draw every single position of the ball across a set amount of time. So let's say in 1 second, I want the ball to go from point A all the way to point B. And you're going to draw every single frame of the ball. That's a lot of work, and that's a lot of unnecessary work. But as a beginner animator, it's a good way to practice and understand timing, like easing out and easing in, as well as how to animate on ones or even animate on twos, and also how to draw things consistently and space it out consistently when it comes to animation. But if you're going to be animating something that doesn't need to be redrawn every single time, then yes, tweening or animating on animation curves becomes a really, really useful tool to use. So that's what we're going to be that's what we're going to be doing. So on Krita, it's, whoops, not another A. We're going to be doing animation curves. And I'm just going to go over really, really quickly how to do it. It's really not that complicated. It's actually really, really straightforward. But I'm still going to go over it in general so you have an idea as to how it works. And that's what we're going to be doing with the background. I'm going to be painting a background today. Probably won't be able to finish the painting today, and then the next time I stream again, I'm going to finish the painting and then also animate it so that there's a little bit of a parallax effect. So this is, yes, part 1, and then when I stream again, which I think is in 2 weeks, I could probably check the schedule, but when I stream again, we're going to be animating the background and maybe even putting some extra elements on top of the background. So, oh yes, parallax. Actually, I'll probably save what parallax is when we actually do the animation of the background. But basically, I'm going to be moving the background from, I don't know, side to side, so it looks like the camera is panning across the background. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm not going to be actually animating characters on a background or like animating water in the background, because that would be too much. I'm just going to simply be animating kind of like a shifting background, like the camera panning across like the background. So before we get into the painting, like I said, I'm going to show you how animating on curves generally works. And we're not going to do anything complicated. I'm going to start with just a simple ball. Good old ball, because whenever you demo for animation, I was watching a video and some guy was like, whenever you're demoing for animation, you always just end up animating a ball, because good old classical ball. And then we're going to go to animation or settings, dockers, and you can see for animation there's 2 docks. There's one that's the main timeline. You guys should be kind of familiar with this. This is the one that I pretty much use every time we animate on Krita. See, we'll go, we'll just call this ball just to make it simple for ourselves. But because we're animating on curves, I'm also going to need the animation curve, and it'll be on this separate tab. You can also take it out if you want. If you want it separately, you can put it on the side, I think, or on top or something. I think should be able to put it around, but yeah, you can change where you position it, but I'm just gonna have it in the same, like just have it be on a different tab. So this is what we're gonna need. And let me see, I'm just going to create a blank frame of animation. And to animate with curves, this is going to be really important. What we're going to need is a mask, a transform mask for our ball. So we have our ball layer. You can either right click it and then you can go to add, and then you can add transform mask, or while having the ball layer selected, you can click this drop down arrow and then you can add transform mask. So we're going to do that. So that's there. And then I'm going to go to animation curves. And then on frame 0, I'm just going to add this. So I'm going to add this kind of, it's like a line with a dot and a plus. So it adds, it's like a curve, almost kind of like a graphing point on this entire chart. So I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can kind of see it. So you can see we have like 3 red dots. The X represents the height of it, and the red one represents the lateral movement of the ball. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to be like, oh, I want the ball to move in like, it'd take about 40 frames to move across. We're going to click the transform tool, which is this one, or Control T if you're using the computer. And now we're going to move it. And I'm holding down Shift, and I'm just going to drag it to its new position. So you can now see on frame 0, this is the position of the ball. And then when we get to frame 42, if I scroll way, way up, you can see the ball's position is now changed. So if I go back to the timeline, you don't need to go back to the timeline, but I'm just going to go back so you guys can see it. If I play it now, the ball should move across the screen. Wow. And it just moves across the screen, at a constant rate. So this is what we're going to be doing with our background on the second part. This first part is mostly just going to be focusing on painting the background and conceptualizing the background. And then the week after is going to be cleaning up the background and doing some parallax animation. I think I quickly saw off the corner of my eye someone explaining parallax. Yeah, so Cadward, you kind of like briefly explained it, but stuff that's closer moves quicker, and then stuff that's further away, like the mountain that's way off in the distance or a city, will move like very, very slowly. It kind of just shows a movement in perspective based off of where the camera is. So that's what parallaxing is. It's what you would see in the old Disney movies where like we're moving through the forest and the foreground is moving quicker and maybe towards the camera, and then the stuff in the background is getting larger but it moves slightly slower at a slower rate compared to the foreground stuff. Yeah, so this was a really quick demo on basically how to do tweening. Hopefully it's you guys understood how it's done. I feel like it's overall pretty straightforward, but I can also understand it being a very complex tool. I just realized I don't know where the dot went now. Let's see, 5,000. Let's see, this is at 500. It's probably lower then. No? Yep. Well, I guess that's gonna be one thing I'm gonna have to deal with. Oh, never mind. It's because I didn't click the transform mask. Yeah, if you want to animate it, you're gonna have to have the transform mask selected, not the actual ball, because then you'll notice like, wait, where did all my graphing go? But it's on the transform. You have to click the transform mask on the layer in order to see all the graphing that's happening. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. You just have to remember to add a transform mask to your object that you're going to be tweening, and then you go to the animation curve, add the curves, and put it in the position that you want it to be moving in. So yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. At least I feel like it's pretty simple. If you guys are not too sure, you can always just rewatch the VOD and just watch this beginning section, and you can slow it down. Feel free to pause it and follow along if you want to. But now we're gonna do the background painting, and I'm just gonna take away the animation timeline because we don't need it. And let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna group this because we don't need it. We're just gonna focus. Oops. We're gonna focus mainly on the painting part, like I said, this time. And because we're gonna be doing tweening and parallaxing, you might notice that like, whoa, my background's way larger than it usually is. And that's because I'm going to be painting it on this file, on a much wider file, and then we're going to be exporting it and then importing it to another file so that we can move it around. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry, it'll make much more sense once we start animating the week after, or not the week after, but the next time I stream again. It'll make a little bit more sense as to how it works. But you guys on our community poll, just gonna check real quickly. I'm pretty sure you guys voted for the medieval fantasy, so I kind of want to just check that real quick just in case it didn't change. Yeah, it didn't change. Most of you guys voted for medieval fantasy. Underwater Ruins was second, and then Western Cowboy looks like it was third. I was personally rooting for Western Cowboy, but medieval fantasy it is. I'm gonna see if I want to mix it up, but I think we'll just keep it simple and just go ahead and just treat it like a regular medieval fantasy. Yeah, so if you animate on 2s, your brain kind of fills in the pockets, like the empty frames, but then when you animate on 1s, because your brain is seeing every single frame, and so any like jitter or inconsistent movement, you pick it up a lot easier. So that's probably why. Yeah. Okay, bye Vin, glad you were able to join us for a bit. Yeah. Animate on 2s. Honestly, animating on 2s is fine. as you animate more, you realize you don't have to animate everything on ones. Some movements just work better on twos, and you can still get away with it. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna actually max screen this because you don't need to see my full panels, but we're gonna be doing a medieval fantasy. And before we started stream, I just quickly ran and got, well, not ran, I didn't go anywhere, but I went to grab some reference images of like medieval stuff, just so that we have some points of inspiration to work off of. And before we start like the actual painting, I'm gonna be doing some roughs, coming up with some ideas, so that, you know, we have something to, we don't just jump right into it. I like to figure things out first, do some planning, and because since we have 2 weeks and tweening in general is not too complicated, I feel like I want to take a little bit more time to flesh out these drawings. And as you guys know, if you've watched me stream before, you'll know that I end up tackling projects a little bit too big, and we go a little bit overboard. So it's good that we have 2 weeks this time. Hopefully I'll be able to have a nice cool painting. Obviously still not going to have anything like as complex as this done, but it'd be kind of cool to have it in that vein, you know? Also, if you guys want to recommend any element for me to include in the painting, feel free to chime in and have some suggestions, and I might put it in. We'll see. But yeah, you guys can offer up some suggestions if you guys have any. Is Vin 3? Oh, I just realized Vin is 3 N's. Didn't know that. That's kind of deep. Okay, so my goal is I kind of want a background that looks a little bit like this. I want a moody kind of atmospheric painting, you know, falls in the air. Well, not really. It kind of got hot again, which kind of disappointing, but it's starting to get a little bit colder here in Toronto. So I'm waiting for the cold. Can't wait for the cold. I wanted to, you know, get that eerie, cool vibe. So that's kind of the direction I want to head into. Castle would be cool. I do want to have like maybe a horse-drawn wagon, and I do want to have like a soldier sleeping on the job. Josh is excited. Yeah, I am. I'm excited to do this, and I'm excited to do the I'm excited for the cold. I was so ready. I got the jeans and I got my sweater out and I was ready, and then the weather was like, actually, hold that thought. It's gonna be 26 again. My bad. Dude, there was a moment where it was 17, 18 degrees, and I was like, oh, it's cold. We're ready. We're ready for fall. And then the weather was like, no, we're back to 26. We're back to 25. I was like, why? I was ready. I was ready for it. Since I don't have any plans to do anything animating as of now, and I like your enthusiasm. Thanks, man. Thanks, Bread. Bread Panda. An awesome name. Yeah, I mean, offer some suggestions. We got cat. You know, yeah, I was thinking of, you know, crows. Good old crows, good old cats. Faye did suggest like, oh, maybe we can animate a character on the background. So I was thinking maybe we could have a dragon maybe in the background, like really, really small. Like a super small dragon in the background, in the sky, flying. But we'll see. We'll see how ambitious we get with this, because that's my problem, right? We get a little bit too overly ambitious and we tackle some pieces that we're not quite ready for. So let me just get my table ready though. So my idea is, I've noticed, and what I've picked up on when it comes to environmental backgrounds, is a lot of them have a lot of foliage and a lot of trees in the background to mask the horizon line. So not in a way that's like bad, but I've noticed like if you just have the horizon line exposed, you have to make you have to rely a little bit more on atmospheric perspective rather than just have visual elements. So I think that's what I'm going to rely on more is I want kind of these forests and kind of like this, the upper right one, or something like this over here. I know it's really small, so maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. This is kind of what I'm aiming for, like a castle on the countryside, kind of a vibe. Um, and then we'll put in like a few buildings maybe, but you know, we're figuring out, we're exploring, we're kind of chipping away as to what might look good. I did want to have like a knight sleeping. Oh, orcs and trolls. You know, that's a good one. I like that. It could be kind of world like Warcraft inspired maybe. Um, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I did want a soldier sleeping. You see, the problem is like I always have an idea in my mind as to like how to take this and where to take this and how it should go. And then my brain is like, will that work though? But we'll see. I've also been reading Lord of the Rings, like before I go to bed. So I am kind of visioning maybe like Bree, you know, big spider webs. Maybe I don't know. Spider webs, you know, that doesn't sound too bad. So we can maybe have like a door sign, like you know, back in the medieval times, people had like a lot of posts, like signs outside to advertise what they're selling. I guess we'll have the bigger tree here, maybe. And we'll go with these like interesting shaped trees. Some like slightly unnatural shapes for the vegetation. See how that goes. Are you going to be using 2 to 3 point perspective view? Probably. Yeah, 1 point perspective is usually a little bit more restrictive. So probably going to be at least 2 point. 3 point, we'll see. Right now we're just in the conceptualizing phase, so I'm more of just trying to figure out the composition, what subjects I want in the background, how they're going to be laid out, and all that kind of stuff. I do think I want my horizon to be maybe now that I'm doing it, I think I probably want it a little bit lower, and maybe we'll have like a building here. I know that in my mind, I definitely want soldiers like sitting in the foreground, like they're napping. I don't know. This is where the fun part. I was about to say this is where the fun begins, but it's I want to get an idea as like we're trying to figure it out, you know, fleshing it out, chipping it away, you know, kind of like marble sculptures. You feel it out, you know. Don't have a solid idea just yet, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. Big spider on web. I mean, yeah, exactly. All the classic tropes of what to have. I'm also probably gonna have to do some research on like what some medieval buildings will look like. But I basically wanted a soldier sleeping. But we'll see what that's like. We'll see how to do it. That seems a bit big. I feel like that's a bit too big. So maybe have it like here. Sleeping on the job, you know. What animators inspire you? Oh, that's a good question. Whoops. Probably like Glenn Keane. I feel like that's the big one that a lot of people bring up. If you guys don't know who Glenn Keane is, he is the animator back in like Disney, back in the good old day. So he's an amazing animator. There, not only is he a great animator, but his kind of just personality and outlook on life is very infectious. He's very positive. He's very just grounded, and he just seems like a very genuine, nice person who loves bringing characters to life and he doesn't seem super, I don't know even how to describe it, but he's just very down to earth, very grounded, very nice, sweet guy. But he also is just a master of his craft. You know, he knows what he's doing. Hi, hello, Dana. I want a guy over here. I'm gonna try to figure out like where the legs are gonna be. I keep pressing the wrong button. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I got a new tablet, and sometimes even though I've allocated my like buttons, I'm still having trouble sometimes figuring out, remembering where I've put them, and having my hand there. And then I want like the spear, but I don't know where to put the spear. Maybe I'll have the spear just like here. It's like leaning over here. A spear. I don't know. Hooded assassin with a blade sneaking behind the napping. Oh my goodness, that's so much. That might be a little bit too much work. I don't know. Good ideas though. I like that. I like it. But we'll see. We'll see if we have time. I am drawing really small, and even though I'm putting a lot of effort into this, I think this is probably gonna be the go-to, unless like a new idea springs to mind partway through. But for the most part, because we're limited on time, I'm probably just going to stick with this idea. But we're going to finesse it and try to flesh it out a little bit more. Oh, like a rat? You know, we can have a little rat here. I saw the little accidental curved line, and I was like, ooh, put a little mouse there. Old tree with a lot of branches, scarecrow with the scarecrow. I don't know. This is not a. It's not a farm, but I like the idea. A scarecrow is very cool. You know, I'll put a gate here. This could probably work pretty well for maybe like the parallax. Oh, also before we start painting, I am going to have to figure out what parts to separate. So in order to get the parallaxing to work, I'm gonna need the foreground, and the foreground might also be multiple elements. So this gate that I'm drawing right here, will have to be on its own layer, and then I'm gonna have to save it as a PNG, and then I'm gonna have to save the foreground elements, so maybe like the ground and the soldier and the barrel and the building, it's as its own layer, and then the trees as its own layer, and then the sky as its own layer maybe. So depending on how many elements, everything's gonna have to be very organized and saved to its own layer so that we can do a proper parallaxing. Because if it's all just one layer, it's literally just going to be a flat image sliding from side to side, which is also fine, but that's not really parallaxing. Parallaxing is giving the illusion of depth by having multiple elements in the background move at different rates. So, yes, that was a little bit of a mouthful, but that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah. So someone did ask, is like, oh, are we going to be doing 3-point? Probably. You know what? 3-point's always fun. And the great thing about perspective is it doesn't have to be like perfect. Like it doesn't have to be perfectly executed, as long as it's consistent and it makes sense. Rats on the barrel. I repeat, rat on the barrel. Exactly. Oh, and then we can have like liquid pouring out of the barrel. I don't know. I want to make this look as like disgusting and gross as possible. You know, that's why we got this reference of soldiers over here. I wanted to draw this guy. The guy on the bottom over here. Like, I really like this helmet design, so I kind of want to do that. The little pointy top. And we're going for some Dark Soul vibes. Tattered-ish looking gate. Yeah, you know how it is. Can't go wrong with the tattered gate, you know. What should it? Okay, this is the first thing you guys can suggest. What should the sign say, or what is the sign for? Anybody got any suggestions for the sign over here? Obviously, you know, it should make sense within the world that we're doing, and obviously keep it appropriate. But we can have some fun with the sign over here. Over like this. You know, maybe we could put a little brick indication over here. And tavern, just the pub, the tavern. No name. You guys don't want to come up with like some interesting name. Literally the most straightforward, just tavern. That's it. Just tavern. Okay. Okay. Well, you know, if later on people in the next part look over and like, why is it just called the tavern? I'm gonna be like, well, that's what the community voted for. They wanted the tavern to literally just be called the tavern. In. You guys are so creative. Ocarina of Time that's sitting against the wall. Yeah, I wanted to add a little bit of character with the person, you know? Rat ta- Oh, I like that. No, we are not Wolverine, we are not doing that. Kleenex Tavern. Interesting. I'm feeling the Rat Tavern. You know, kind of like a little Ratatouille inspired. You know, little. I don't know. You can hold a spoon, or something. I don't know. The La Rata. Anybody watch the Batman? We'll have it be a little homage to the Batman as well by having it be spelt wrong. Le Rat, El Rat. What was it? El Rata. Okay, we don't have enough space, but on the actual painting, we'll call this El Rata Spoon. Okay, you know what? I'll add that to it. El Rata Spoon Pub. Does it make any sense at all that we're switching from what was it supposed to be, like Spanish to English all of a sudden based off of a French rat? It doesn't make any sense at all. But you know, we're going with it. Oh, hey Gaia, glad you could join us on your first stream ever. That's awesome. Glad you could join us. Hopefully we're giving you a good impression of how it usually goes down on the streams. I feel like you're catching us on a good one because if the project allows for it, we can ask like the chat what they want. So I think this was a good one to catch us on. Chat, is this real? I don't know. You know, we'll see how it goes. Maybe we might change the name down the line later on, but who knows. Okay, so we got the barrel. We got the building. We got a rat over here. And we got our soldier. Okay, what else are we missing? Okay, we got the forest in the back. I like how the forest looks. We got enough space for things like a dragon for some reason to fly by in the background, so that's good. Probably we could put some clouds in afterwards in the real painting, but I'll just imply some clouds. I don't know. It's a foggy, misty day. You know, it's a little bit dangerous. How do you keep my lines so clean? Oh, thank you. Just practice. A lot of hand control. Be loose. Don't grip your pen too tight. You know, the usual tips on good drawing pencil holding habits. Give the rata cheese. But then where would the spoon go? We can't call it the spoon pub if he's holding a cheese. Actually, I like that even more. That's a bit funnier because it's called spoon pub, but then he's holding just a block of cheese. Okay, it's implied that it's a cheese. Puddles on the ground. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, that's what Quinn just wants me to draw reflections. My greatest my weakness. Puddles and reflections. I'm gonna have to draw reflections on the ground if I add puddles. No, it's good. It's good. I like it. Yeah, we're having this ground kind of swirl in a little bit. I might add it a bit higher. These greenery. I might shrink this down then. I like this kind of almost swooping down over here. Oh, right. I also wanted to add a church. We're just constantly adding more and more to this, and I'm going to regret it down the line, but we are going to add a church. You know, good old medieval times, gotta have the church, just like, well, I guess maybe I don't have to put like the typical church building. We can take a little inspiration from this, maybe. Here, we'll make it a pointed building with a little pointed triangle cap on it. Here, I feel like that looks pretty good. As a little hint of a medieval building in the background. I feel like that's pretty good. Wizard towel. Okay, sure. Yeah, wizard towel. I feel like that's good. Just flip the canvas and transform it. Wait, what? Oh, you mean for the reflection? Yeah, that's the cheap way of doing it. You know, I don't know. I feel so dirty doing that. You know. But it's no, it's good. It's good. Okay, so we got the moon here as well. And because this is going to be a haunting kind of background, maybe not too many clouds, or else it gets a little heavy-handed on the clouds. I love how the pub is right at the gate. It's as if we're like, yeah, that's what people want. People want beer and you know, other drinks right as they walk into the city gate, and they're also greeted by a sleeping soldier. This town is definitely has seen better days. I need to get this done into exactly. Well, I mean, we don't have to get it done in 2 hours, but you know, should keep it manageable. Okay, let's see. I like this flat building that's kind of suggested on this one. Like over here. It's kind of more like a shed. So maybe I might do that. With a little bit... Okay, we're going to have a flatter building over here. Oops. And we're going to have it go up. Maybe. So, in terms of perspective, you might be like, oh, you didn't draw any like perspective lines or anything. How do you know if things are in perspective? And what I've done, like I quickly mentioned this, but I'll say it again. My horizon line is kind of down here, roughly. You know, very rough, educated guess is that I'm like putting it quite low. And the reason why it's low is because I wanted to be looking kind of right at the guy sleeping. And in order to be looking right at the guy sleeping, imagine this. If there was a guy leaning up against a building and he's sleeping and you wanted to look at him, you're not going to stay standing looking down at the person. You're going to crouch down to your eye level, matches the soldier sleeping, or it might even be a little bit lower. So in this case, because we're not an actual person, we're a camera, so I want it lower, so everything is almost towering above the viewer, towering above the camera. Gives it a little bit more of an intimidating, like we are being intimidated by the scenery. It's a little bit more ominous, and everything seems to kind of cover and tower over us, the viewer. So that's why I have the camera lower to the ground, which means that the horizon line is also lower to the ground, which means that everything that I draw in here needs to eventually kind of meet up somewhere on the horizon line. So when I'm drawing this building, I should keep that in mind as well. Be like, oh, you know what? This building part should probably angle down just a little bit more. And because the bottom of the building over here is closer to the horizon line, it's going to appear more flat than usual. And then we'll add a little bit of a window. We'll add a small little door. And actually, because we're lower to the ground, I'm actually going to lower the height of the roof, because the roof is going to be kind of skewing behind the building just a little bit more. So, yeah, and because this is just a rough, we have about like an hour, and I'm going to start painting it soon. It's only 3:48, so we have about an hour. It's not too bad. Doing okay on time, I think. Yeah, we got that. And then I wanted to actually add one more building. I know, it's like, oh my goodness, he's going to add one more building. So I'm going to add a building here. I want to make it look actually very similar to this one over here. And I wanted like a flat top building, but it's going to be skewed. So I'm just going to eyeball it roughly. And it's going to be going, you can see like I'm drawing this roof, and it's going to be going somewhere here, off to the horizon line, to its vanishing point over here. So that's what VP stands for vanishing point. And then this one is going to go down somewhere over here, so another vanishing point. So that's how I'm keeping track of the perspective, but I'm doing all of this in my mind. I'm doing this all in my head, because here's the trick. After you draw and understand perspective, you don't really need to draw every single perspective line. You don't have to draw every single vanishing point or a perspective grid every single time, because as long as it looks correct, you can actually get away with so-called skewed perspective. And a good example of that is this one over here. This is a drawing from the concept art of Tangled, and you'll notice that the buildings are all kind of tilted. They're kind of skewed and leaning away. And yes, the guy is keeping in mind of perspective, the artist that worked on this, but they're taking a lot of creative liberties to exaggerate and skew the building and slightly breaking some perspective rules, as long as the overarching rule is consistent. So rules like things closer to you are bigger, things further away are smaller, and making sure that most of the stuff on each of the individual buildings themselves follow the perspective lines that they have. So perspective is actually a lot more forgiving than I think a lot of people tend to realize that it is. And that's why I can kind of get away with, I keep messing up the erase button, but that's why I can kind of get away with just having these not just winged, like I'm just winging these perspective buildings. Oh, and also here's like a big thing too, roofs. Always keep in mind of the fact that they have depth. I know it sounds really like, no duh, roofs have depth, that's crazy, but I always forget them, and it's like, oh wait, the roofs have to stick out, and and I always end up messing up the way the roofs look. Okay, and then we got the balcony over here, and yeah, it's sticking to the wall. I'm gonna say that the wall is maybe like here. I'm not making it look exactly like the one in the picture, but something like it. What makes it even trickier is the fact that it's actually also some of the roof tilings are skewed, so it has a bit of like this weird angle to it that might sometimes throw off the feeling of perspective. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I'm drawing it. It's a rat's eyes perspective. That's a pretty good way of putting it. It's a rat's. You can think of it as a rat's perspective as to where we've placed these things. Sometimes you can also put like grids on the lines or on the buildings, so to help keep you kind of have a good idea as to like grounding the building. So I've drawn these like horizontal bars on the building, so I have an idea as to where I want the building to be skewing roughly. And then it has like a doorway, and I'm just gonna give the window because that's what it looks like it has. And then a chimney over here. And yes, I'm gonna leave a bit of the tree kind of obscuring the building a little bit, so the tree is growing outside next to both of these buildings, kind of in between them, and then we're gonna add another bush right behind it. Okay, I think this is good enough. This feels pretty good. Oh, you know what? I gotta add a well. We'll add the town well. We're not gonna draw a statue though. That's gonna be way too much work. Blurby sir. Oh, hello. Hello, Blurby. Welcome back. Okay. Yeah, we are... I kind of want to add a statue. Anybody got any suggestions for the statue? If we do add a statue, what would it be? I don't know, it's terrible. We're gonna have so much to do when we paint this. Okay, I say we, but it's me. I have a lot to do. Keeps on adding to the cake, it's gonna blow in. Yeah, I know. Oh, well, okay, well, it doesn't have to be some kind of god. Oh my goodness. You know, we'll have someone pouring water. I mean, it's gonna be kind of hard to see it anyways because it's in the dark. So we'll draw this creepy caped character pouring water into the fountain. Just do that. Ooh, very ominous. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think we're done here. I think we're done. I'm done adding. This would be too much. This would be a lot of work to paint, but this is always how it ends up being. Oh, also one thing to keep in mind when doing environmental backgrounds: don't have any overly straight lines. So in order to keep it feeling organic and in order to make it feel like it's a natural, real place, make sure that there's nothing that truly lines up with anything. So don't have any flat planes, don't have any like flat grounds. You'll notice over here even for something like this, it gets broken up at least by the fountain, and there's some like grass and dirt to break up the flatness of the ground. Even for like something like this, you can see that there's this like mound right next to the church. There's these statues, these patches of grass and trees. It helps break up the drawing from feeling too monotonous and too kind of just like straight. So yeah, okay, so this is going to be the overarching concept, and now I have to make it fill the background. So I'm probably actually going to move this a little bit smaller because we don't really need it. I'll still have it on the side for inspiration, I guess, but yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to screenshot this. And I'm going to put in the reference. So convenient. Oh, I love PureRef. Not sponsored in any way, but after one of like the students recommended it to me, I've been using it nonstop. It's so useful. It's so simple, but it's so useful. I love it. It's so good. A frog, statue of the king, queen, a rat. Okay, you know, like, I was thinking of a rat, but I felt like a rat was too straightforward, you know. So didn't end up going for the rat, I know. Oh well. Zelda Breath of the Wild. Oh, like those angel looking characters? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The fountain, honestly, background right now still a little bit up in the air. We don't have to worry too much. Oh, okay, how do I want to do this? Okay, we're gonna name this back. So labeling is gonna be quite important. I also do really like the color scheme of these two, so I'm gonna pick somewhere close to it. Yeah, let's pick some colors. Obviously, don't know if it's gonna work immediately, but just gonna throw it out there, see how it works, see if it feels right. And it doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat, because if I am spacing everything by layers, it should be easy enough to change it if I don't like it down the road. So yeah. Okay. I feel like this one's pretty good. What should I draw first? Let's block in the... no, let's block in the trees first. We're going to kind of start from the background and work our way forward. So we're going to draw the trees first. And the trees... going to take a lot of inspiration from this more teal looking background. And for anybody who's ever interested in like the brushes that I'm using right now, oh, probably might not be able to see it. I'm gonna be using this Sumi brush. It looks like this from Krita. I quite like it. It's meant to be kind of like a big brush to block in things, but I quite like it. This might be a bit too dark. Yeah, this seems okay for now. So I know it might be like, what is this guy doing? He's just scribbling, but because the trees are just simply trees, it doesn't really have too much detail in it because it's in the background. I don't have to worry too much about it feeling too clean. So I'm really just gonna block it in. And if we're gonna be moving it, then I do want to make sure that I have a decent amount of trees to cover the parallax. But yeah. Sumi ink brush. Yeah, I love this brush. So good for painting stuff. Painting like slight textures but still having the pressure sensitivity aspect of it. The arch burger from McDonald's come back up. But yeah, gonna be doing something like this. I'm just gonna be blocking it in. I feel like Bob Ross right now, but it's like, yeah, we're just gonna take a nice big brush, block it all in, you know, it's all good for now. Don't worry too much about it. I think I'm gonna change the color though. I don't really like this kind of color. We're gonna go maybe more for... No, it's okay. Slightly lighter. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Are you gonna paint a nighttime setting? Yeah, I kind of want to do this because, you know, spring's in the air. I want to, Halloween's around the corner. Kind of want to do it a little bit more of a spookier type of a background. And mind you, I'm simply just blocking in where things need to be. So I'm not really worrying too much about the cleanliness per se. I'm really just trying to make sure and get an idea for how much space things need to take up. And you'll notice that I'm really keeping the layers organized. So I have everything properly laid out. Okay, and then I'm just painting in the ground plane. Yeah, I want the ground to kind of be like gravel. So that's why I'm switching it over to like the... I'm switching it over to the greener side, so it comes off a little bit more like gravel. Whereas if I kept it more on the blue side, I felt like it felt too cool. It felt too blue. Whereas a greener, turquoise-ier finish for the gravel feels more, I think, natural. Also, mind you, that in our rough, we only painted in what was the essential parts of it. So you can kind of imagine almost like a real frame that we're going to be working with is really closer to like here. Like this is really our frame. All this extra stuff is so that we can move the camera around. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind. So if you're kind of like, why is this stretched out in such a weird way? Why is this like front part of the grass also like really like low? It is kind of low, so I might bring it up back up a little bit actually. But all of this is so that we can move the screen around afterwards. Okay, and I'm just simply blocking it in. Like I said, I don't really know exactly how much space things are taking, so I'm taking it one step at a time, blocking it in so I have the proportions probably down. Oh, hey, Guy Gate. Glad you're back. Do anything for pixel art? Personally, no. I don't know if any of the other instructors know how to do pixel art, but to my knowledge, I don't think we've ever done anything pixel art related, but pixel art is cool. I've never learned it. I feel like it would take a lot of patience, though. What do you think Kevin does? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think so. That does sound like it's probably Kevin. If anybody would be doing it, it probably would be Kevin. Trying to like get the gate thickness down. And because this is going to be off screen anyways, most of this gate is going to be off screen, but I kind of want to just add it just in case. It's not too bad. I'm gonna build this back up over here. Just gonna say that the fountain is here, maybe? Yeah. Okay. Then we're gonna have the church. The church, I think I might just keep it as... Actually, no. Just to be safe, I'm gonna have the church be its own thing, even though I might probably just merge it with the trees afterwards. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we do it. But this way I can like change it afterwards, and it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But I feel like that's always the sentiment with these with these streams partway through, and we're like, yeah, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. We'll see how it goes, and then big regrets later. Just starting. Yeah, that makes sense for pixel art. I feel like you're kind of building it one square at a time, but also having an idea of what you want ahead of time, so that because like every square you put down should have almost like a purpose for how you're laying it down and why it's there. So I think that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, cool, guy. You're just starting to learn Krita. How are you liking it? Or how are you finding it right now? Hmm. So we'll make it darker. This is gonna be the tavern. Have it over here. So what I'm trying to do is divide every element to, like, I'm simplifying it. So it's like the tavern and the sign and the tavern and the sign, that's going to be one element, so that's why I'm putting it on one layer. The trees are one element, so it's all in one layer. It's not necessarily like, oh, each individual tree, but rather like as a whole, like a blob of trees, that's part of one layer. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it right now. This way it makes it easier when we need to correct anything down the line for like, and also makes it easier when we do the parallaxing. So that's why we're doing it like this for now. It makes corrections easier. Actually gonna rotate the gate and move it over just a little bit. I use CSP and Krita for my digital art. Nice. Yeah, I personally really like Krita. I know some people are like, oh, it has a lot of downsides to it, but personally, so far, I feel like it's been pretty good on my end. I haven't had really any issues with it so far that I've heard a lot of people bring up, but for me, it's been pretty good. Seems really good so far. Yeah, yeah. Like with any drawing program and software, it just really takes time to just understand how that software is approaching things. But at the end of the day, all software pretty much has the or well, like a good chunk of them will have all the same things. Like most painting softwares are gonna have brushes. It just makes sense that way. Most painting softwares are gonna have a bucket tool and a lasso tool and layers to them. It's just that they might put them in different places, or they might just call some tools by a different name. But in general, everything is pretty much the same. You just kind of have to learn to adjust to it, especially if you just decide to switch to a new one. But pretty much everything has about the same kind of approach to it, because everybody needs them for the same thing. And then every software program wants to make sure that anybody is able to use it. So in the end, every software development company just ends up making the same things for every single painting software. Except for maybe MS Paint. MS Paint is doing its own thing. MS Paint is just like, no, I want to do it my way. My way or the highway. Yeah, Quinn, you are the only person I think I know that uses MS Paint. Well, I say no, but no as in, like, my friends don't use it. I haven't heard of Like, you know, when people are on YouTube are talking about like the software they use, I've never heard anyone be like, yeah, MS Paint. I recommend MS Paint. You're the only one, but you know what? I like that. I like that you have found an appreciation for MS Paint. Layers are for the weak. Oh my goodness. I respect that. That's some old school traditional mindset right there. Back in my day, we didn't have the undo tool. Layers, that's for babies. Yeah, you know what? That's a good mindset. You just want to draw. You know, there's some good truth to that, where once you start having all this customizability to it, I can see getting caught up on all like things like, oh, I want to make it pretty though, or it's got to be perfect. Whereas like when you don't have that pressure, you can kind of just draw for fun and not worry about it too much. Okay. Oh, what the? Soldier? Okay, so I'm not gonna go in detail on painting the soldier just yet, because I just want to get the overall proportions of the soldier. So I'm not going to get it detailed just yet. Again, because I'm trying to worry about the painting as a whole and making sure that in general, the painting is there, like in terms of composition and scale and everything. So for now, I'm not worrying too much about whether or not it's perfect. How would he have? I'm trying to think of like how the soldier would like hold the spear. I'm gonna say it's kind of like this, but we'll see. I might fix it off stream since this is a two-parter. I might just worry about it on my own time. For now, just for you guys, you're just gonna be taking a look at the blocking in aspect of it. I guess we won't see too much of the legs. I feel like here, probably. And then there's like the tunic. Yeah, I'll say something like that. It's good it's good enough for now. For what I need this block in to be. What is the... Oh shoot, there's so many messages. Whoops, I missed this. Tree root of tree with bit algae, fungi. Give old vibe or horror. Oh yeah. You know what? That's a good suggestion. Adding some vines to it. I will go ahead and do that before I forget about it. But that's a good suggestion. Thank you for that. I like that. I'm just gonna squiggle it in really quickly because I'm not trying to worry too much about it. But I'm just gonna put it in quickly so I remember it. But thank you for that. You draw only background, or I'm gonna draw a character. It's mostly just gonna be a background. There is a soldier in it, so I don't know if you'll count that as me drawing a character, but it's mostly background focused for today, or in general for this this stream and the next one that I will be doing. And on a mouse, it would look better, but you know what? I like that. You know what? You're just having fun, Quinn, so it's all that matters. What does this painting method called? I mean, bypassing the drawing and straight to painting these silhouette stuffs. Any tutorials or rules available of this method? I don't know if it's necessarily if it has a particular method name to it, but we did a I did a rough first, as you can see in like over here on the left hand side. So that's the reference I'm working off of. But then because I know where everything is and because I've spent a good amount of time on the rough, I am blocking everything in. So I don't think this method has a name in particular, but what I am doing is what people call blocking. You're basically, instead of painting all the details, you're blocking in the silhouette shapes of every element. So like the trees in the background, I'm blocking it all in. I'm not painting any of the leaves or the branches or the trunks or the roots. I'm just blocking in the shape and how much space it's taking up on the overall canvas so that I know compositionally how much space it's going to be taking up. Same thing with the gate. I'm not rendering the gate. I'm simply just mapping it on just so I know where it should go. Same thing with the building, the church, the barrel, the person sleeping. I'm not adding any details. It's more of like these flat shapes, just so compositionally I know where everything should go. And so that if I need to make any adjustments, like make them smaller, bigger, change their position, I can do it really, really easily without having to worry about erasing it and redrawing it. So in terms of like a name for the method, I don't think there's a particular name for it, but what I am doing is called blocking in. And it's called blocking in because you're just putting these big blocks of shapes to represent each painted element instead of painting in the detail or drawing the detail. Because I want this to be painterly down the line, I'm not really worrying too much about drawing it because that will take too much time. If I'm going to be painting it, there's no point in me drawing it, especially if I've drawn the rough already and the rough is already pretty clear as to what's there. Yeah. Building. I'm just gonna call it build. You know what? I'll call it building A. I don't really have a name for it. Yeah. Mr. Robocat. Oh, hey, Mr. Robocat. Good to see you here. I mean, you know what? I wonder if there's any studios that still do traditional. That would be really surprising to me if they still do it now. Just because it's very time consuming and it's very it's probably really expensive. So as much as it's really cool when you look at like old animated films, how they used to do it traditionally, I feel like they don't really do that anymore. But this is my guess. This is my hunch, is that they don't do it anymore. But it would be really cool if they still did. But I don't know, honestly, personally. Like even modern day animated films that like Belle, I remember watching the behind the scenes for the film, the animated film Belle, and they're showing this guy painting the background and it was digital. And nothing wrong with that, or like I'm not opposed to people doing it digitally, because this way they can get very highly rendered detailed paintings of backgrounds, but it is different when you can see someone manually physically paint in a background with like actual paint and spray paint, and then they're like brushing it with water or like a brush or a towel or a sponge to add texture to it. It's kind of neat, you know. It gives a textural feel that I think is kind of missing in some of like the newer stuff. It's kind of like a trade-off. Digital is very, very clean, and then with traditional it's more, you know, it's more tactile, it's more textural, and it feels more like it's there. But I feel like it's to each their own in a sense. I don't think there's necessarily like it's wrong or anything to have it be digital or not. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. blocking in slash silhouette. Yeah, I would. Yeah, silhouette blocking in. We're actually a little bit of like a tease. We're about to release a video, maybe sometime down the line, like coming up, where it's one of my videos, and it's gonna be breaking down like a painting process that I have, and it uses a very similar approach to this. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys don't want to miss it, you know, you guys can subscribe because we do announce upcoming videos down the line, and so it is going to be one. I'm not going to say what video it is, but keep an eye out. It's going to be a painting video and a video on my personal painting approach. I'm not going to say that it's like unique or anything, but it's, you know, I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm definitely going to make the trees a little bit darker. So the other thing too is like I'm not worrying too much about the um how proper the placement, or not the placement, the color of everything is. You might notice right now it's like, wait, the trees are super light, the buildings, they don't really match perspectively like how things should be. I'm not worrying about any of that. To me right now, my goal is simply to make sure that I have the composition down. So that's why, like beforehand, someone was asking, like, "Oh, how do you like? What is this method called, and why am I blocking it all in?" And the reason why I'm blocking it all in is because I want to make sure that I have everything in its proper place first. So that's why I'm doing it like this. Uh, ooh, we're gonna have a little bit of a. You know what? It's fine. I'm gonna put the tree here. I'm gonna paint it on the building because technically it's part of it, so it's fine. I'm gonna have it here. I'll have it go up above the building just a little bit. I'm gonna change the color so it's easier to see it. I like to think about it kind of sometimes for environmental painting. It's kind of like sticker books. I don't know if you guys have ever, like as kids, had these like sticker books where you just, there's a background already there painted for you, and then the book gives you these stickers of like characters, maybe like a carriage or a building, and then you just get to stick it onto the background yourself. This is kind of like that. Um, because basically I have a flat surface background, and now I'm just deciding where I want those things to be. So yeah, it's not, I personally don't think it's too big of a deal. It's not too crazy, but you can kind of think of it like that if you're not too sure if like if you're approaching background correctly. Sometimes the simplest way is the best way in understanding something, and for me it's basically just, yeah, you just it's like a sticker book and you're sticking stickers onto it. Okay, I think we're almost done the background. Okay, I might have to paint like another ground. I don't know. We'll figure out the organization of all the stuff here later. Okay, gonna make one more layer for the fountain, and then I think we're pretty much done. Yes, I know there's like the clouds and the moon. That stuff's easy, so I'm not like too pressed on it. But I am going to just put the fountain here, just marking it. I'm just laying down the groundwork, laying down the territory of what I want. And now we can't see it, so I'm just gonna darken it. Yeah, it's a cloaked, we're gonna have a cloaked figure. And as the fountain. I feel like usually cloaked figures aren't the focus of a statue, but it is on this one. Okay, I think that's most of the elements. But do you like Roblox? Not, no, I've never played Roblox, but I know that a lot of people do enjoy playing Roblox. Yeah. The Merlin Magic guy? Do they have that as like the picture? That's jokes. Uh, should I put something else over here? Maybe I might put a little like fence. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little fence over here. On the left side behind the gate, it's looking a little bit empty, so I'm just gonna put a fence over here. Just like a small fence. I'm looking at like the picture on the left, and I see like there's this fence wall, so I kind of want to just have something similar to it. Now, even though these are all broken up into separate layers, it doesn't mean I'm just going to save all of these elements separately. Kind of like when I mentioned and talked about parallaxing. I'm simply having it all here so I can adjust it later on, like what I mentioned beforehand. So it is not necessarily me being like, oh, it's these are all gonna be elements and we're gonna save them all and then we're gonna have to adjust them afterwards. No, that would be way too much work. So that's not what it's for. The reason why we're saving all these layers is so that I can adjust it afterwards if I need any adjusting. Okay, man, this is gonna be a lot. As it always is. Gonna be a lot. I'm gonna move it over here. Yeah. Okay. What time is it? It's 4:30. Okay. Man, we still got so much time. I feel like I'm so used to having like no time at all when working on these. And I know you might be looking at this like, what? You're nowhere near done. It's like, but remember, we have a part 2. So technically, we have quite a lot of time. So I think that's why I'm like, man, I'm chilling right now. Don't have to stress the puddle. Persona 5 music. I wish I wouldn't mind playing Persona 5 music, but I'm pretty sure that would get us copyright struck. So it's simply just no copyright free music. I don't know if Kevin's put the credits in the description for whenever I stream, but if it's not, I'll try to remember to put it there so that you guys can, if you guys are interested in the music, you guys can take a look at it. But yeah. Puddle. Okay. Puddle would be puddle. Let's make. Oh right, it's. Here's a quick tip about puddles, guys. It is the color of the sky. So if you want to paint in puddles and you're like, I don't know what color the puddle should be, it's the color of the sky. That's what puddles are. Quick, very easy, quick fix for you guys if anybody's curious. Obviously, there's like the reflection. It's going to be dark. Reflections are always slightly darker than the actual thing that they're reflecting, but it's always a safe bet to just make the reflection of liquid the color of the sky, and then you add in darker values like the buildings or dirt onto the reflection afterwards. I'm gonna complete it in one stream. No. We're that's why I'm chilling, Zather. We are not going to finish this in one day. No, in one stream. No, I'm painting the overall look of the background for today, and then I'm gonna be streaming it again. So this is part 1. If you might have noticed from the title, it's part 1. Part 2 is going to be in. Actually, I could probably check right now. Let's see. don't have it up, so let's take a look. Part 2 is on the 29th. So, yeah, 2 weeks. I usually stream every other week, but I wasn't like too sure. But yeah. So on the 29th, I'm going to be streaming again, and I'm going to be finishing up the background even more. I'm probably going to finish this on my own time, just because a lot of this does tend to be just a lot of busy work and nothing too extreme or intense. So I usually like to just finish this sometimes on my own time. But then I'll leave some of it left so you guys can see it. But then next week is going to be finessing the background and tweening it. So I'm going to show you how parallaxing works in a background. Okay, I'm going to add clouds. We're going to be animating the clouds as well. And we're going to be animating the moon. So, whoops. Clouds are behind the trees. Yeah, and I'm going for a more stylistic kind of piece. I'm not gonna go super realistic. That would be too much work. So we're just doing a more stylized background. And then the moon. Moon is behind the clouds, so I'll put the moon here. The moon, I'm gonna have it be. I don't want it to be too big, so I'll have it here. Whoops. Nice. It's pretty good. Not bad. Okay, so this is what we have. Not too bad. I think what I'm gonna do now is, because everything is laid out for now, I'm just gonna check the spacing of things, if this is how I want it to be. I'm gonna move the church, and this is why we did it on separate layers. So I want the church to be, whoops. I want the church to be closer to the statue, closer to the middle. And do I want the building? Yeah, we'll move the building further a little bit in. Not too much. So basically I want everything a little bit closer to the middle, because I'm looking at the original one and I'm noticing that the soldier should be in the shot, but it's not. So yeah. Okay. Tavern. Let's see. Oh, tavern's like way closer in. Okay, so we'll put it there. And for this building, just basically a lot of tweaking right now. It's just a lot of correcting. I know that this is gonna feel like very super tedious, and don't get me wrong, this is very tedious, but it's gonna turn out great by the end of it. When we have it all moving and painted and everything, I am excited to see how this turns out. So yeah. Yellow squares on the buildings? What? If the clouds were in front of the trees, there would be fog, the trees would be really tall. That's true. I guess could add like two different types of trees. I could have the trees behind the clouds, not two different types of trees. Clouds in front of the trees and some behind, so that it creates a little bit of depth to it. So yeah, that could work too. I could do that. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna color in the soldier. Didn't color in the soldier because I was like, you know, it's fine. But I'm gonna color the soldier in. I'm also coloring it based off of atmospheric perspective. So the rule of thumb for atmospheric perspective is that things that are closer to you have a higher amount of contrast, and then things that are further away have a lower amount of contrast. So that means things that are super bright and super dark are closer to the front, and then as it goes further into the distance, it gets lighter and lighter. So even things that are like, let's say if I was wearing a black t-shirt, but I was like way, way, way in the distance, the black would go down to like a very, very, like maybe slightly above medium gray. So instead of like being over here on my color wheel, it'd be like somewhere over here. So middle gray is here. My black t-shirt might be registering as like this, depending on like how far I am. Because the more basic rule for atmospheric perspective is like, oh, darker, closer, lighter, farther away. But what it actually is higher contrast, closer, less contrast, further away. So colors tend to dull down when it's further, it's lighter, and then when it's closer, it can be brighter and it can be darker. So there's more contrast. It's looking great so far. Oh, thank you, Quinn. Yeah. Just finished a ghosty shrimp pixel art for contest. Oh, that sounds awesome. Shrimp contest. Oh, why does my barrel have a random... My barrel has like this random coloring over here. So strange. Okay, so I think placement-wise, everything is looking pretty good so far. I'm trying to see if there's any like last-minute things that I need to adjust. Oh, the clouds in front of the trees, I'll do that later. I don't think it's too big of a deal, so I'm not going to worry about it. Right now, I'm just trying to scan the image and see if anything needs to be like changed. But so far, I think it's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is not paint the details just yet. What I'm going to do is play around with the values. So make sure they're the correct values and they're looking the way that I want it to look. So for the background, it's supposed to be the night sky. So I'm going to make it a gradation, and I'm going to change the color. So I like this color, but it's way too bright for quote-unquote, maybe not night sky, but maybe like dusk. So it should still be pretty dark. And I'm going to make this maybe... Let's see. We'll play with this, and we'll see how it goes. So what I've done is the foreground, and then this is my background. So if you look at where my swatches are on the upper left screen, the darker teal color is going to be the top color when I click and drag for the bucket tool or for the gradation tool. And then when I let go, it's going to be the lighter color. So that's kind of what I want, and I want to see how that turns out. I feel like it's a bit too saturated. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to just desaturate it, and I'm actually going to lighten it up a little bit more. And I'm going to do it again. Yeah, just darken it a bit more. Honestly, it might just be that the light is too light. So I might darken this one as well. Mm, bit too saturated. Yeah, maybe. Also, the background elements are going to be influencing how I'm reading this gradation as well. So I'm getting it as close to as how I want it to be, but again, it's not set. But so far, I think I'm okay with this. I'm okay with how this looks. And then, okay, so for the trees now, trees, I'm gonna lock transparency so I don't have to worry about it. And I feel like the trees right now are bit too bright, so kind of want to darken them a little bit more. Maybe punch up the saturation just a bit. Because it's already like colored in, I'm just using lock transparency. I don't need a textured brush. All I need is for a flat, simple brush to color over it. Yeah, you know what? That's not too bad. Okay. And then the tavern. You know, I'm gonna do the gate first. Gate. Lock transparency. And I think for the gate, we can pretty much make it almost near black. Obviously, we'll add in like not shadows, but like highlights to it later on. But I think this is a pretty good value for it. Let's see, the next one, let's do the church. The church is a little bit too bright now. I think this color? I think that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit darker. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Okay, the ground is obviously way too bright. So I'm gonna try out a yellowy color and see how that registers. Yeah, if I'm looking at the ground on like both of my references, it's pretty dark in terms of like what I might be aiming for. So then we're gonna go with dark. Are ghost shrimp? Wait, what are ghost shrimps real? I thought it was just like a reference to something. I didn't know they were real, but that's cool. Did not know that they were a native kind of animal. That's kind of neat. So this is getting closer and closer to the value that I want for my objects. Obviously, again, I'm always keeping in mind that these are not the final. It is not the final version. I'm always gonna be like tweaking it a little bit more and adjusting it. So even though it's getting closer to what I want, it's not the finalized version. And I know it might look really like bland right now because I'm trying to figure out the composition first. It'd be terrible if I put in a lot of details, painted in all the trees and the windows, and then partway through realized that the value was wrong or that I got the look of it completely off. That would be terrible, and I would never want to need to adjust it afterwards. So that is why I am keeping it still very, very simple right now, so that I can adjust it properly afterwards. Actually, I'm gonna bring it here. Yes, I like the purple. The purple's good. Okay. And then I think the ground, I'm also gonna make it on the purple side. Yeah. I know it's a little bit soon for Halloween, but it's never too soon for Halloween. Oh, Quinn, I just realized the puddles. Don't worry, I'll bring the puddles back. They'll just be a different color. Whoops. My bad. Whoops. Oh. Maybe here. Yeah. And then the tree, honestly, I might put the tree. I'll put this as tree building tree building. Because it's a little bit too it's kind of hard to mark that it's there. Alright, cool. Ooh, we got 10 more minutes left. But how's everybody doing? Is anybody starting school? I know school kind of just started again, so is anybody currently in school right now? Figuring out easing back into the swing of a school schedule. Tavern probably gonna be pretty dark too, not gonna lie. Maybe not as dark as the gate, but oops. High school work great. Nice. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then the barrels are brown, so I know that sounds so lame. Like, barrels are brown. It's like, yeah, no duh. But I'm gonna color it in a purple color. So that it registers as brown. And then the soldier, I think the soldier is probably gonna be one of the darkest elements. Let's see, where's soldier? Because he's in the shadow. So, yeah, probably gonna be something like this. It hates school. I thought that too, but it's not a. I feel like over time I grew to appreciate school. I know. It's like boo, boo, appreciating school, but I don't know. Over time, just I think it depends, obviously, also with like what you learn. I think if what you're learning you don't find any like interest in, then yeah, school can be very just monotonous. But I think it's okay. Don't worry, Quinn. I'm gonna add in the tree. I mean, not the tree. I'm gonna add in the puddles. So don't you worry. I'm just separating the tree a little bit. I mean, not the tree, the puddle. I'm gonna put the puddle back. Okay, where's the ground? There's so many layers. Oh my goodness. Okay, puddles. I swear, puddles is like a name for something. Let's use this brush. So reflections, I dropped the sky and then I made it slightly darker than what the reflection was. So this way it reads more like a reflection. And then obviously because it's in contact with like the bucket, or not the bucket, the barrel, It's going to be there, and then going to make it slightly there so that there's reflection for the bucket and everything, because it's right there anyways. So obviously there would be a reflection for the barrel, not the bucket. I am mixing up my words, my goodness. And then we'll add in the one last puddle over here that was like here. Okay, so it is like 4:53, meaning that we're almost done with the stream, and I think this is probably a good place to end it on. I know that it's like right now it's just simple shapes, but this should give us a pretty good idea as to where all the basic elements are. So just want to like clarify if anybody missed it or don't understand why the background looks like this. This is so that I know the composition is set. This is so that I can tell where everything needs to be, the value of it. So beforehand, if you go through the VOD and you look through the stream of where the colors and values started, it was all over the place. But at that stage, all I was focused on was to just focus on the placement and composition. After I got the composition set and figured out, then I started working on the colors and the value. Obviously, it's still not set in stone. I still know that I'm going to be changing the colors and the values down the road, but now this way I have a better idea as to what it should be heading into and roughly what the direction is. And we're like honing in closer and closer to the final image. I'll work on that on my own time because it's going to be a lot of work, but I won't finish it. I'll leave the finishing to the 29th when I stream again for the background. And again, for anybody joining, we're going to be animating a parallaxed background. So we're going to be having this background moving. Yeah. Oh, when is my next crit? The 18th. So if that's actually a good segue to maybe closing off this stream. I'll do the closing statements and I'll bring up when my next next critique stream, or not stream, but critique session is going to be. So hello everybody, this is kind of the end of the stream. If you didn't catch the full stream, that is totally okay. You can watch the VOD once the stream is done, and in the beginning of the stream I go over how to tween and use animation curves on Krita, because we're going to be doing that the next time I stream. So the 29th, we're going to be tweening this background painting that I have here so that it's moving like a parallaxed background. But if you missed it, no worries, there's a VOD. And for anybody who's brand new and don't know who we are, welcome to our stream. Glad you guys could join us. But we are Wing Canvas, and we are a YouTube channel here that provides art tutorial videos on tips, tricks, and drawing advice to better help our fellow art nerds in this art community of ours. Our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so be sure to tune in live every Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. We typically alternate instructors, so it's usually Faye and Jesse on Saturdays, and then me and Iggy on Sundays. So Iggy will be next week, and then I'll be back again on the 29th. But be sure to check out our social media groups. We are on Discord, Facebook, and Instagram. We post our artworks there from our streams. So if you want to check out this painting that was done here today, I'll also post the rough. The social media is the best place to check these drawings out once the stream is done. And if you are curious about supporting us further, we also have a Patreon. You can support us on Patreon or become a YouTube member. And if you become a member, you do get access to perks such as members only chat and critique, art files, pre-release video, as well as monthly live recordings and discounts on our live classes. And just like what Quinn brought up, we do have critiques. So if you are a member on Patreon, you get critiques on our members only Discord channel, and I will be giving live critiques. Yes, I will be in a call on Discord giving live critiques to our Patreon members on the 18th. So I know it says Saturday, but I'm busy this coming Saturday, so it has been moved to the 18th, which is a Wednesday. And at 10 p.m., I'm going to be live on Discord, and anybody who uploads their drawings, I'll give live feedback to. Obviously, you got to be a member on Patreon in order to get access to it. But yeah, so just putting it out there. If anybody wants some live critiques, that's kind of like the best way to get feedback. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of the stream. 2 hours flew by extremely fast. Thank you everybody for joining me on this stream. And yes, this background, I will continue working on it further so that it looks a little bit more developed than it is right now. And then we'll continue it again on the 29th. Yeah. Okay, well, it won't be done, but I'll definitely clean it up way more than how it looks like now. And I'll post it on Discord probably. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll keep it a surprise. So you guys are, you won't know what it'll look like before the stream starts. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you for an awesome stream. Oh, what time zone? EST. Yes. Oh, thank you, Scarlett, for putting it there. Oh, and everybody, let's give a hand of a. I can't say it. Let's thank Scarlett for modding the stream. They're subbing for Kevin, so thank you, Scarlett, for modding. I see you here and there popping around on the chat, so again, thank you for helping out. But hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Enjoy your last remaining hours of Sunday, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.